South, or college football podcast brought to you from the great state of Arkansas. We're coming to y'all when we're right here in the home stretch, guys. Right after 4th of July is whenever I really start kicking into I start thinking about college football almost every second of every day. You know, you got the video game out. So we're gonna be getting into the weeds of what we think is gonna happen eventually. But right now, today, me and Justin are gonna talk about coaches that might be in the pressure cooker a little bit. They might not be gonna get fired. There are gonna be some guys we talk about that will get fired if they don't perform. But they might just be maybe needing to prove themselves a little bit starting this year. Justin, what'd you do this 4th of July, buddy?
Man, I really didn't do anything. My dad came into town, so I went and hung out with him. My uncle came into town. Other than that, man, I kind of hung out. I didn't do anything like wild or crazy. Honestly, I don't even think I watched a single firework go off. I mean, I got nephews and nieces, and they're all too young. You know, they're probably 4 or 5. So I don't really think I watched a single firework go off. I can kind of tell I'm getting old. I bought a house about 6 months ago, and I got 2 dogs. So around 4th of July and New Year's, I'm laying in bed about 9:30, 10 o'clock, and I start getting mad because my dogs are barking because there's fireworks going on. So I'm like, I started having that. What's that Allstate commercial where you start acting like your parents? Isn't that how that goes?
Yeah. No, it's understandable. I went out on the lake, got a little rowdy, you know how we do it.
Yeah.
Watched some fireworks. It was a good time though. It was a good little break from kind of the grind that's been going on.
Yeah, it's rough, man. Especially here in Arkansas. If you live here or you're from the South, you know that the summertime is not for the lighthearted.
Not at all. Let's kind of get into who we think is going to be in the pressure cooker, like I've been saying. I'm going to start off with maybe a surprising one here. I think Ryan Day, man. I know that he just won the national championship. I am getting a little echo again, real quick.
All right, I got you. I'll figure it out.
Before I get too far into this.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I just don't see a world where Ohio State, even if they could go 11-1, if they lose to Michigan, I just don't see a world where Ohio State fans are happy. And what I mean by the pressure cooker is, if he goes 11-1, they're not going to fire him. Obviously, everyone that is an Ohio State fan would be calling for his head for about 2 weeks until the playoffs started.
I did last year.
They're not going to fire him though. You know what I'm like? It's just not going to happen. But the pressure is just so amped up on him right now that he has got to feel it in some way. You know, he has to win that game.
Yeah, and I think I've talked about it before with you. I think you're completely right, and you hit it right on the head when it's like he's in the pressure cooker, but he's not going to get fired. I think about it like this, like, I could ask you this again. I've asked you this previously, but like, when has there been a national championship head coach or even team that has as much to prove this year as Ohio State? I don't think there's one, and there's not one even close. Because Ohio State, the way that they work every year is beat the team up north, which is Michigan, win the Big Ten, and win the national championship. Those are their 3 goals. Well, they went 1 and 2 in those goals this year. So, they accomplished the big one. So to the public eye, it's like, well, how could Ryan Day be in the hot seat? He just won the national championship. It's like, yeah, but up there, you have so much more when it comes to Michigan. Like, I don't think he's going to get fired by no means. Do I think he'll want to quit? 1,000%.
He might willingly leave if he doesn't beat Michigan.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, it gets bad, man. I'm not condoning anything that the crazy fans do. Don't get me wrong. As soon as he lost that game, I might have talked to you about it. I wanted them to purposely lose to Tennessee, and I wanted them to fire Ryan Day, move up Jim Knoll. Like, I wanted them to do a whole restart of the program. And then 4 weeks later, I was like, all hail Ryan Day, build a statue, So, and I'm a pretty level-headed fan. So once you start talking about these guys that are 30, 40, living in a trailer park, and all they do is drink Busch Light and eat bologna sandwiches, like they don't have anything to live for. Like there's people talking about killing him and doing things to his family. I mean, it gets really bad. I mean, it's college football though. That's what we all love about it. What was it? What was that year when Arkansas's quarterback got his truck set on fire?
Allegedly.
Yeah.
Allegedly. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how college football is. But when you get up to Ohio State, when it's beat Michigan, win the Natty every year, or you're a bust. There's a lot more pressure, and there's a reason why people say that program feels like an NFL program is because it's that's how people expect you to perform. I think you hit it right on the head. I don't disagree with you at all. Yes, it's my team. I love Ryan Day, but if he loses to Michigan again, I'm gonna be pissed off.
Right, and I don't think it's necessary. Talking about the goals of a team, right? Ohio State's in that weird spot where it doesn't matter what they do if they don't beat Michigan. It doesn't matter, and it's the same way for Michigan. If Michigan doesn't win that game, then last year that season's looked at as a huge disappointment. But you're going into the offseason and you're like, hey, we just beat Ohio State, like that's big for them. Who is one of those guys that you've been kind of looking at that might be feeling the pressure and it might be on the actual hot seat?
I'm not. I feel like me and you have talked about this team, and if people watch every episode, they probably think that I'm more of a Sooner fan than I am an Ohio State fan because I am super high on them this year. So I'm going to try to keep this really short and sweet. I feel like Brent Venables is on the hot seat. I feel like he's on one of the hottest seats in all of college football, really. I mean, I don't see a way to where he goes, 6-6 or 7-5 and be this them keep him. Now I think he could go 8-4 if the athletic director at Oklahoma is an understanding person and sees the gauntlet of the schedule they go through. But I don't see. I don't see if they go 6-6. I think he's gone.
And they're definitely in a situation where they could improve this season, right? And still fire their head coach. Because that's another place with lofty expectations a lot. Maybe who's the guy we're thinking of that we can go a little bit more in depth on? I mean, we could talk about Sherrone Moore.
Yeah, I just feel like Sherrone Moore's kind of in that weird thing. I think he's going to get a lot of grace because of everything that's happening. Here's my question to you, and I feel like this is a good one because, you have the Kirk Ferentzes of the world at Iowa where it's they go 9-3 every year, or sometimes they'll go 10-2. They'll lose the Big Ten championship game, and everybody's fine with it. They like it. They produce NFL players occasionally. They're tight end all this other stuff. He's been there for 45 years. Fine. The dude at Utah, I didn't pull up his name. I wish I would have. He's the same way. He's been at Utah for 17 years. Usually they go anywhere from 8-4 to 10-2, and the fan base is happy with it. They're ecstatic. They love it. The coach I'm about to bring up, he hasn't been at this program for quite as long, but he's kind of on that same realm where it's he's either going to go 8-4 or he's going to go 10-2. They're not ever going to win the national championship, it seems like, or they haven't to this point, and it hasn't even been close. And it's not like he's building up getting there where it's oh, he made it to the second round of the playoffs this year. He made it to the, 4-team playoffs, whatever. What do you feel about, and what do you feel like fans think about Lane Kiffin?
Personally, I think that's the best guy for that job at Ole Miss.
Yeah.
I think that's a school that's been a poverty program for so long. Because if you look at Ole Miss prior to the 2010s, they had very minimal success. And so far, Lane Kiffin has brought them top 10, or not top 10, top 15 finishes, a 10-win year. Whenever it was the New Year's Six Bowl, still they played in a New Year's Six Bowl. So I don't think he's necessarily feeling any pressure, but if we were having this conversation maybe 5 years from now, and it was kind of the same story over and over and over again, I could see a comparison. Um, a guy that's a really good comparison to that, though, is Mike Gundy at Oklahoma State. He's been there since I was before I was even on this earth, I think, and they have had a good amount of success for a team like Oklahoma State, a program like Oklahoma State. But last year they go 5-7. They were returning everyone. They were returning Ollie Gordon. They were returning all their offensive line, and they went 5-7. Very disappointing year for the Cowboys over there. And if Mike Gundy has another year like that, that could be a team that moves on from a long tenured head coach. At Utah, Kyle Whittingham's been there for 21 years, and they also had a very bad year last year, but they had a lot of injuries to, their 10th year senior Cam Rising. That's a tough one because it would be weird. Do they make the jump from those coaches, or do they kind of let them ride it out? Especially
who are you gonna get? Yeah, and I know Minnesota did it. Let me pull up their schedule. Minnesota did it a while back, where they kind of, how do I want to say this? They kind of, they were a winning program, but they weren't they were kind of like that Ole Miss has been. That 8-4, 9-3, kind of in that area, and they started getting more recruits, and they started building, and and stuff, and people started saying, "Oh, we need to rank that guy higher because he's getting recruited by Minnesota," or we need to bump this kid up to a 4-star because he's committed to, Missouri, or not Missouri, sorry, Minnesota. And, they kept doing that over and over for 2 or 3 years. And eventually they're like, well, our team's getting so good and the coach is holding us back. Well, then they fire the coach and now they're back to, kind of where they're supposed to be. And it's kind of one of those, it's kind of one of those things to where it's who are they going to go get? Because there's only a certain amount of coaches. I would put dadgummit, his name's skipping my mind. Fran Brown. I would put Fran Brown up there. Where it's I feel like any program he goes to, it's going to be great. But Minnesota, so you had Glenn Mason. He was there for 6 or 7 years. He started out 3-9. They went to 5-6. They went 8-4, 6-6, 4-7, and then he started the uptrend. He went 8-5, 10-3, 7-5, 7-5, and then his last year he kind of had a down year. But with a team like that, that's what you're gonna have. You're gonna have 2 or 3 years upscaling, 2 or 3 years downscaling, and that's how it's just gonna be. Well, as soon as Glenn Mason left, then you brought in another Tim Brewster. He went 1-11, 7-6, 6-7, 1-6, and got fired. So it's you traded out a coach that did have you on some uptick years, and you thought it was his fault, but it wasn't. So I feel like that's going to scare a lot of these coaches. And another thing you got to look at too is a lot of these schools are signing these fresh coaches like Kirk Cignetti to a multi-year deal. Well, they're not going to sign him to a multi-year deal and then the very next year fire him.
Right. They're
so it's
it out a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. So it's those are things you got to look out too. I mean, hot seat wise, another one that I have that I don't know if he's on a hot seat, but if he starts losing, if he doesn't have a winning record this year, I mean, it could start heating up through the year more than people think, and that's Lincoln Riley.
I was just about to bring him up, actually.
Yeah, Lincoln Riley. I mean, you think about it. You can talk about it, Mason, and then I'll pull up their record over the last 3 or 4 years.
Well, essentially, what I like to think about with Lincoln Riley is that's a guy that was handed the keys essentially to a Maserati in Oklahoma, right? And he leaves and he goes to USC and he brings over this huge transfer portal class with Caleb Williams. I know y'all remember the fingernails. And they're pretty good the first year. They win 9-10 games. The next year, they're kind of down. And then it's the Miller Moss era, and they moved to the Big Ten. They got a lot of hype because Lincoln Riley is like looked at as this offensive guru, and he had all the success at Oklahoma, and he had a few years of success at USC, and they flopped. I mean, they won their bowl game. They won 7 games, but the pressure is going to kind of be on him. And if you look at their schedule, we went over it whenever we went over the Big Ten. USC plays a gauntlet. I mean, I'm pretty sure they play Oregon, Penn State, Illinois, Michigan, like all in a row. A couple of them are road games. So this is a situation where USC could improve as a football team. And I think USC is going to improve. I think their defense is going to improve. I think Miller Moss just wasn't the guy for that offense. And I do think that they'll improve. But does that improvement, I mean, does that mean 8-9 wins? I don't know. And if he only wins 6-7 games again this year, that's a school that's going to be looking at that tough. And I think the pressure is already turned up on him because of last year. And you could really see it turned up on him in the future if they have another year like that. And you might see Lincoln Riley packing his bags and leaving California. I would take him in Arkansas in a heartbeat. That's just me personally.
Yeah, because so his first year, 2022, that's when he, a lot of these things that you got to also kind of dive deep into the situation. When he left, he took pretty much, I would say, we might have somebody that's an Oklahoma fan in the chat. You'll just have to give me a rough ballpark percentage of what you feel like your team lost. But I would say he probably took 75% of that roster with him to USC. Well, they went 11-3 that year.
Mm-hmm.
Next year, you're returning Caleb Williams. He goes 8-5. Very lackluster. Last year, he goes 7-6. So it's he's getting worse and worse and worse every year. So it's it's one of those things how much longer are they going to keep him around? Especially when you have these up-and-coming head coaches like the Fran Browns. And I'm sure there are some other ones out there that are great coaches. They're just not as loud as Fran Brown is. But when you have great coaches like that, all it takes is 1 year and the whole fan base is going to fall in love with you. I mean, Kirk Cignetti. That's all you got to say.
To give Lincoln Riley a little bit of grace, he did go from the Pac-12, which is it was a fun conference to watch, but it wasn't the competitive beast that was their Big Ten schedule, essentially. You know what I mean? So I'll give him a little grace on that. I think you're right, though. I think it could be something where he's going to really be looked at. He's going to be under the magnifying glass if they have another year similar to what they had this year. What do you kind of think about your I guess you brought up Lincoln Riley. Do you want me to bring up a guy?
Yeah, go ahead.
See, the guy that I've really been looking at a lot, a guy that I really have been thinking it's do or die for him. This is a hot seat coach. Is Billy Napier at Florida.
Yeah.
I know we've talked about how good we expect Florida to be, but if Florida doesn't make that jump and they lose some of them early games, they play LSU week 3, they play Miami early. If they lose these games and they play a really tough schedule, you could see Billy Napier also out the door. And Billy Napier was rumored to get fired last year. They wound up rattling off a few wins. He wound up saving his job. But, I mean, whenever I look at their team, I think worst case is 8-4. But how does that 8-4 look? Is it 8-4, but you lost to Texas by 40? You went to LSU and lost by 28. You lost to Florida State at the end of the year or something. If they do something like that, I could very well see Billy Napier gone after the season. And I hate that because I love what he has done with that program.
Yeah, I do think you're right. I think it really depends on maybe not so much their record. I think it's really going to depend on how DJ Lagway plays. Mm-hmm. Because you got to think about it. If they go 8-4, but DJ Lagway has one of those Heisman type seasons, and the money's flowing in. Like the AD's going to get money signs over his eyeballs, and he's not. He's going to wait until DJ Lagway leaves. Personally, that's what I think. I mean, I do agree with you, but I think there's a little bit more to it than just like win and loss record.
I just think Florida's one of those crazy places. I mean, you saw a guy, Dan Mullen. Dan Mullen is one of my favorite coaches in college football. He took Mississippi State and had them ranked number 1 in the country at one point. Okay?
Yeah.
Goes to Florida. They play in the SEC championship game. They're a thrown shoe away from going to the playoff, and they fired him. I just think that's a crazy place. And I think even if they won 8 games and they maybe beat a Georgia and like they still won 8 games, they could still fire his ass. Like it would not surprise me. It's just one of those places where they expect to be a top program, and he's been building towards that. He's been building towards a breakout year.
Yeah, and I think it depends on what the losses look like. Like, are you going to have a loss like Ohio State played Clemson for the first time in I think it was a Fiesta Bowl before the 4-team playoff, where it's like 30-0, and it's like, yeah, we're not close. Or are you going to have 4 losses that are like Ohio State versus Clemson 2022 comes down to a game-winning field goal? You know what I mean? Like, a lot of people say, like, oh, a win's a win, a loss is a loss. It's like, yeah, not so fast. Like, it's not that way. Like, if they go out and lose to, I don't have their schedule pulled up, but if they go out and lose to, 4 teams and they lose one of them 21-10, the next one 35-14, and, they have a few in there that are ugly losses and the team don't look good, then yeah, but it's kind of one of those things like Billy Napier should be signing checks over to DJ Lagway because DJ Lagway saved his coaching career.
Yeah.
Just off the potential of what he has, because you remember 2 years ago, people were hardcore dogging Florida because their guys weren't giving effort in the bowl game.
Yeah, and even last year, Florida was ready, or I don't know if Florida, I can't speak on Florida's athletic department. Florida fans were ready to put him on a cross after that Miami loss, after the Texas loss. And then DJ Lagway took a step in the middle of the season and kind of saved his job, won some big games. Another guy in the SEC that could be on the chopping block, and I think he is on the chopping block, but his team has the potential to really save him, is Auburn's head coach Hugh Freeze.
Yeah. I think Hugh Freeze, like, that's another one. He needs to be signing checks over to his players because he's got a team, and I think what helps Hugh Freeze and kind of keeps him off that hot seat if they just have like a mediocre year this year is what he's been doing in recruiting and what he's been doing in the transfer portal. Personally, that's just me. Now, obviously, I don't like run the team. I'm not the athletic director or anything like that. I could see a side to where they go 8-4. Or no, I wouldn't say 8-4. I think they'd be ecstatic if they go 8-4. But I could see a side where they go like 4-8, and Hugh Freeze gets fired. Or I can see the same thing where they go 4-8, and it's a lot like Nebraska's years a few years ago, where it's like all 8 losses were a 1-score game, and Hugh Freeze gets retained. He gets kept. So I could see both sides for sure.
Yeah, I think at minimum they have to make a bowl game because last year they had a big win against Texas A&M at the end of the year. They missed a bowl, though. It was a lot of ugly losses. And I just don't think that Auburn fans are willing to do that again. Another great example of how crazy Auburn is, they fired Gus Malzahn.
Yeah.
Gus Malzahn beat Nick Saban like 3 times and led them to a national championship. Now, they lost, but, I mean, Gus Malzahn had all kinds of success at Auburn, and they fired him. So,
yeah. I mean, you're right. I mean,
it's just that place is a pressure cooker in its own. I mean, it makes and breaks a lot of guys at Auburn.
Yeah, I have another team, and I can either go over them or I can go over, or not really go over. We can just discuss the person or the team you got on top of your head. I mean, that's kind of up to you.
Let's go over your team first.
Okay. Yeah, I figure we'll stay on Arkansas a pretty good while. So mine is like, he's still kind of fresh, but I think the coach that they're coming off of, like kind of makes it harder for him, because they talked about it with Caitlin DeBoer when he replaced Nick Saban. Like, you never want to replace the GOAT. And I'm not comparing this coach to replacing the GOAT. But when you're coming up and you're returning or you're going to a school where they had pretty good success before you, kind of makes it harder on you. It makes your seat get hotter a little bit faster. And that's Luke Fickell at Wisconsin. I mean, he kind of, and I think some of his expectations were unwarranted. Like, just because you're good at Cincinnati doesn't mean you're just going to go into anywhere. But they had Paul Christie before Luke Fickell. And I mean, so here's, what year is this? I'll just start out with this year. This 2016. Or I can start out with his first year was 2015. He went 10-3, went to the Holiday Bowl and won it. 2016, 11-3, went to the Cotton Bowl and won it. 2017 went 13-1, went to the Orange Bowl, won it. Then 2018 went 8-5. 2019 went 10-4, went to the Rose Bowl and won it. I mean, he won every bowl game besides, no, in 2019 he lost the Rose Bowl. But every bowl game he went to besides that one he won. So it's like you're coming off the heels, and I don't know why he left. He left like midway through the season. He only coached 5 games. I don't know if it's health or he was getting old. But anyways, what I'm saying is, like, Luke Fickell came in, and that's what Wisconsin like expected, because they can be there. They were there before that with Brett Bielema. They were really they were good with Brett Bielema too. So it's like that's what they can be. But it's like, how much longer are they going to give him to even sniff that? Because he went 7-6. He went 7-6 last year and went 5-7. Or 7-6 in 2023, went 5-7 in 2024. So it's like, where, like, what, where does it start? Where it's like, okay, dude, you need to kind of figure something out. Like, you need to go 8-4. You need to get. I mean, I don't know. I don't think he can go 7-6 again and keep his job personally, because it's not like, like Auburn. The thing about Auburn with Hugh Freeze, you can be like, well, he is recruiting really good. And he's hit the transfer portal hard. Like, he's really going to turn it around. Like, I don't think Wisconsin's even on that level.
Mm-hmm. Well, and Wisconsin's athletic director did Luke Fickell no favors by giving them the schedule that they have.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
They don't have a warm-up really in there. I mean, we looked at their over-under, and it was hard to find 5 wins in there. I mean, it was just...
Yeah.
And they might be a surprising team. I mean, I do think Luke Fickell's a really good head coach, and I do think that they have potential. It's just you haven't seen it yet, and they play a terrible schedule. I mean, just to be honest with you, they play a tough schedule. So I don't think he's necessarily going to get fired. I mean, but you're right. I mean, when do you start asking the question is like, when is this going to get better? When is this really supposed to, like, take the next step?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things to where, like, you just, I don't know. And the thing is too is, like, when do you want to fire him? And, like, if you do fire him, who are you going to hire?
And that's another great question. Like, do you sell out for a guy? Well, they can't go after Brett Bielema. That's legal. So I don't know. That's a great question. Who do you go after if you're Wisconsin? Who do you even think about?
Yeah, I mean, Fran Brown's the hot name. Like, whatever team, I keep saying his name, but if you know college football, like, Fran Brown's going to be the next big coach somewhere. It's just who's going to get him and where is he going to go?
Well, I'll give him Sam Pittman.
Yeah, I figured you would.
Let's talk about Sam real quick. Sam is one of those guys, right, that if I had to list coaches that I would love to hang out with, Sam Pittman would be near the top of that list. Sam Pittman's a really cool guy, really nice guy. Everyone that you ever hear talk about Sam Pittman talks about how nice he is. And he's a great offensive line coach. He put many guys in the NFL. They had great offensive lines during his tenure at Arkansas the first time, had great offensive lines at Georgia. But since he has been the head coach, barring 21, and even in 21, we've dealt with some of these problems I'm going to bring up. It has been mismanagement with time, mismanagement with NIL. The players seem to have given up at some points. I don't think we've lost necessarily any games that we were supposed to win, but we have been in games and just blown it many a times. I mean, many a times. And last year we go 6-6, right? We have a top 10 offense in the country yards wise, but we can't stop turning the ball over. Or our defense is just it falls off after week 4. And I'm not saying that this is all Sam Pittman's fault, right? He made a terrible hire in Dan Enos in 23, I think it was, whenever we went 4-8. So I mean, some of these problems can be attributed to other people, but at the end of the day, this is Sam Pittman's 5th year. You can look right across the river at another program that hired a guy 5 years ago, and you can look at their success versus our success. Ole Miss has won 10 games at one point. Ole Miss has played in a New Year's Six Bowl. Ole Miss has brought in the number 2 transfer portal class. Ole Miss has done all of these things, right? That just by looking at the facts, Ole Miss is a program that's trajectory has done nothing but go up since they've hired Lane Kiffin. Ours has stayed the exact same. 6-6. We had the one anomaly year, which I can 100% attribute to our schedule wasn't that hard, really. Like, we played some good teams, but we had this guy named Traylon Burks who just was a game wrecker for everybody. Our defense had a lot of NFL guys on it. And Kendall Briles was a great offensive coordinator. Ever since we've lost Kendall Briles, ever since we've lost Barry Odom, I do think we've replaced Barry Odom with a better defensive coordinator, but that's not the topic. Our trajectory has stayed the same. Now, what does that mean for this season, right? How many wins would it take to keep Sam Pittman, in my opinion? I say 8 games. You have to win 8 games because last year we beat Tennessee. We're 4-2, and then we crap the bed against LSU. We crap the bed against Ole Miss. We lose to Missouri. Like, you have to win 8 games and you have to beat Missouri. That's the rules. If you don't win 8 games, you're gone. And I don't care if you win 11 games. If you don't beat Missouri, you need to get him out of the building. You need to. Like, we have to be able to beat Missouri of all schools. I'm not talking about beating Georgia. I'm not talking about beating Alabama. I'm talking about beating Dorkwitz and the crappy team north of us. The ugliest yellow. They play in a Waffle House. Nobody likes Como. They have rocks around their field for whatever reason. Like, they're the 3rd worst. Like, if I had to rank the Tigers in the SEC, they're dead last. They are in the North, for one. They're in the North, so they shouldn't be in the Southeastern Conference. They're a Big 12 team or a Big 10 team maybe, and they kick our ass every year. If Sam Pittman can't beat him, get him gone. I mean, last year we lost to Ole Miss by 60 points or something like that. That's a rival. We lose to LSU by a lot. Texas beats us like a drum, and then you lose to Missouri. 0-4 in rivalry games. 0-4. And A&M beat us in Dallas again. That's 5 losses to rivals. You can't do that and be our coach anymore. You cannot do that.
Hey, Mason, I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to get you, maybe this might fire you up even more, or it might simmer you down a little bit and bring you back to reality. You would say that your knowledge on Arkansas college football is probably superior to most people.
Yeah.
Can you tell me who was the coach? It's the same guy. It's not like it was one guy half of it and one guy the rest of it. It's the same coach that did it. Can you tell me the coach and maybe the years? It's got to be ballpark. It's not going to be exact years. When's the last time Arkansas won, season, had more than 9 more than 9 wins in 4 consecutive seasons?
It was probably Frank Broyles back in the 60s.
It's been a little sooner than that, and I don't even know if he did it. Let me see.
Then it might have been Houston Nutt, maybe.
Older than that. newer than
It
newer
wasn't
than
Bobby.
no older than Houston Nutt, younger than Luke
Oh, was it?
Frank
It was
Boyle.
either okay. So then it was either Lou Holtz or Ken Hatfield or one of them.
It's Ken Hatfield. He did it in
The 80s.
yeah, 1985 went 10-2, 1986 went 9-3, 1987 went 9-4, and then went 10-2, 10-2. But he lost every bowl game besides the first or the second one. So what I'm saying is like even Arkansas's good years, like Houston Nutt, even his good years, 9-4. And then you had Bobby Petrino. I mean, Bobby Petrino came in, replaced Houston Nutt. So that was right on the heels of Darren McFadden. And that was like Arkansas's prime. Was 2006. They went 10-4 and they lost the Capital One Bowl. And then in 2007 they went 8-4.
We
Or they
lost
went
the fucking Cotton Bowl to Missouri.
yeah, they went 8-5 and lost the Cotton Bowl to Missouri.
Sorry for the F-bomb, YouTube. That's on me.
And then you brought in Bobby Petrino. He went 5-7 in 2008, and then in 2009 he went 8-5. He won the Liberty Bowl, and then in 2010 he went
10-3,
10-3
lost to Ohio State in the Sugar Bowl.
in the Sugar Bowl, and then
Don't even get me fired up, dude. I'm getting angry.
And then in 2012 or in 2011 he went 11-2, won the Cotton Bowl, and he got a Harley for half price off, and then you hired John Smith.
No. We didn't hire John L. Smith. He was our special teams coach, and we brought him up, and okay, let's just go into this. We got our butts whooped in Fayetteville a week after losing to UL Monroe in Little Rock. We got beat like 40-0 or something, and John L. Smith is sitting in a press conference saying, "Smile, smile." If I could find John L. Smith, I'd punch him right in the teeth.
And then you bring in Brett Bielema. He goes 3-9 his first season. Then he goes 7-6, 8-5, 7-6, and then he goes 4-8. And I don't remember. Did y'all fire him?
Yeah.
Do you regret firing him?
No.
Okay. And then you hired Chad Morris, worst coaching hire arguably in Arkansas history, I think.
In college football history, I can't think of a worse one. Urban Meyer to the Jacksonville Jaguars rivals it. That's pretty close. Oof, close one. But Chad Morris edges it out, I think.
And then you brought in Sam Pittman. Started off slow in 2020, went 3-7. Then he had that year. And it's almost like this year hurt Arkansas fans more than anything. He went 9-4 and won the Outback Bowl. Great season, but then he's went down ever since then. He went 7-6, then he went 4-8, and then he went 7-6 again. So it's like, are you going to be happy? And I think it hurts you because you see what all these other teams are doing around you. Your Ole Misses. Y'all and Ole Miss are a lot alike. I think they probably have a little bit better of a program.
Right
like,
now,
yeah, recently. But it's like, why don't you? And the thing is like, Bobby Petrino, they hired him from another place. You know, they hired him from the Falcons, and kind of there's a weird backstory. And then they got Brett Bielema from Wisconsin. But they hired Chad Morris, which, yeah, he was good, but like, if you're going to be a good Power 5 coach, you need to come from another head coaching position.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I mean, we have since Brett Bielema was a splash hire at the time. He was just coming off his third consecutive 10-win season. Wisconsin had just went to that bowl game against Oregon. They lost, I'm pretty sure. It was the DeAnthony Thomas, Monte Ball, all that. And we make this splash hire. And ever since then, we have taken it's like still a risky route, though. Like, it's not like we're taking the safe route. Like, we're not like, okay, well, we're going to go hire Skip Holtz from La Tech. You know, we were rumored to hire him 100 times. We're not going to go hire a guy that's like proven himself as a head coach year after year after year at a lower tier program. But no, we're going to go hire this guy that has been at SMU for 2 years. And then with Sam Pittman, a lot of players vouched for him. He had already been here. Everyone loved him. So I did understand that hire. But
I don't understand it. I really don't. What was he here? What was he here for?
He was our offensive line coach from like 2014 to like 2017.
So he was an offensive line coach for 3 years. Then he went to Georgia and was an offensive line coach there for what, 2 years?
Something like that. 2-3 years.
Yeah, so you're hiring, it's not even like you're hiring a coordinator.
No,
Offensive. And here's the thing to me, good offensive line coaches, I'm not saying he's not good, but to go from an offensive line coach to a head coach, you got to be great. Ohio State's offensive line coach, he was the offensive line coach and the offensive run game coordinator. So it's like you have different titles. I don't know if Sam Pittman ever got different titles like that, but our offensive line coach went and coached in the NFL. Like, I just don't feel like Sam Pittman's that caliber of an offensive line coach.
The way they talk about Sam Pittman as an offensive line coach is he is the best. Everyone in the South has talked about.
But the offensive line sucks ass.
For Arkansas, yes, it does. It has been bad. But regardless, he had a lot of guys that stepped to the plate for him, wrote him a recommendation, and we were coming off Chad Morris. So compared to Chad Morris, even that 3-win season, that was an all-SEC schedule, that 3-win season showed a lot of progress. We had not won an SEC game at that point in like almost 3 full years because our last win of the Bielema tenure was early in the SEC schedule at Ole Miss. Cole Kelly led a crazy comeback. And then we didn't win another one until COVID, and it was at Mississippi State. So even that year was an improvement. And then we had that great year. But yeah, time's up on his whole on this project unless we improve, which we should improve. I will give Sam Pittman the benefit of the doubt in this from the most objective standpoint that I can give it from, which isn't a very objective one. But we're going to do our best here. Taylor Green should progress. We got a lot of exciting guys in the transfer portal. We're returning offensive linemen that are expected to be all SEC. Some of the transfer portal guys we did get are supposed to be game changers, like Omega Blake, who was a great wide receiver from Charlotte last year. Travis Williams, a great defensive coordinator. Everyone says year 2 under Bobby Petrino with quarterbacks is like a great thing, and history has proven that. So on paper, we should improve. I know that the national media, I know I've crapped on us. I know everyone has said that we're going to be terrible. I don't expect us to be that bad. But like I said, 8 wins is a vast improvement over 6 wins the way we did it. We're not going to jump to 10 wins. We're not going to jump to a playoff berth. But if you can show me progress, and it's not an 8 wins that is like, okay, well, you beat Northwestern, you beat Texas Southern. We're not gonna. You got to win some SEC games, and you can't. You got to show me improvement in decision making. If he can do that and win 8 games and beat Missouri, I'll take him on for another year. I'll be fine with that.
I just don't see 8 wins.
Well, that's the bar I'm setting, which, of course, I'm not Hunter Yurachek. I can't set the bar. I could see 8 wins, but we would actually have to improve. And we would have to be a good football team to win 8 games. We would have to be a good football team because everyone around us has gotten better. We would have to have also jumped on that. That's why I say 8 wins. If you win 6 wins again, you could beat Mississippi State. You could beat Missouri. You could beat. You could accidentally beat Tennessee again, and then lose to Notre Dame and win the rest of your nobody games and win 6 games. Like, that's not impressive to me. But if you win 8 games, that means you had to have beaten either A&M, Tennessee, LSU, Texas, Missouri, or Ole Miss. You would have to have beat some of those teams. So that shows improvement. That's why I say 8 wins.
It's understandable. I mean, like I said, I don't think they're going to get to 8 wins. That's just me personally. But I mean, I think Sam Pittman should go. I have my own opinion on what they should do and how, what they should do moving forward. But that's in a whole nother episode. And that's kind of something that if somebody wants to talk about it, I'll talk about it. But I mean, it's too much to get into, and you have to really know analytics. And I would throw so much information at people, it would probably make you want to blow your head off. So I don't really. I mean, I think there's a lot of coaches that are going to be put on the hot seat after this season, if that makes sense. Like, I don't feel like there's a lot this season where it's like if they don't win X amount of games, they're getting fired. There's a few, and we've named them, but I feel like there's a lot of coaches that after this season, if they have a bad season again, could be hitting the door.
Yeah, and I think it's a lot of guys like Shane Beamer, South Carolina,
Deion
Drinkwitz, like
Deion Sanders.
Yeah, Deion Sanders could be, and it's all just based on what do you do in a situation where you're expected to improve. Now, I'll give Deion this: he's not expected to improve necessarily because he did lose the Heisman winner, he lost his quarterback, but they should improve in theory. But what do you do whenever you're expected to really take a leap? Because I feel like that's what creates pressure. If you're stagnant in college football, now nobody's stagnant at the top unless you're Nick Saban. Nobody's stagnant at the top. Most of the time, if you're stagnant, it's you can't reach a goal that everyone expects you to reach. Those teams this year, you got a lot of them. Illinois, Brett Bielema. Now, Illinois is not going to fire Brett Bielema, but to the coaches that I think have a lot of pressure is Brett Bielema, Shane Beamer, Billy Napier. I think Dabo Swinney has a lot of pressure on him. Franklin. What's Penn State's coach name? I can't remember. James Franklin. And I even think Steve Sarkisian has a lot of pressure on him this year, just because these are all teams that are supposed to really take a step,
Yeah, I think Penn State, James Franklin, I think he knocked a lot of pressure off. Like, I don't think he's going to get fired, but I think you're right. Like, every coach you named has a lot of pressure, but I don't think they're going to get fired.
Right. And I don't necessarily think they will either. I just think the pressure will grow if those teams don't take a step.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I think you're 1,000% right. There's some coaches out there that I don't think they're ever going to get fired. Like PJ Fleck. I don't think he's ever going to get fired. I think he's fine. He can win however many he wants to, lose however many he wants to. He'll be all right because they love him there. It's like a cult following in, Minnesota. They love it. Yeah, exactly. And then who's the head coach for Iowa State?
Oh, Matt Campbell, I think is his name.
Yeah, Campbell. He's another one. Not going to get fired. That's a coach Arkansas should go spin the bag on.
I personally think we should just go get what's his name?
Fran Brown?
The Raiders coach. No, who used to be the Raiders coach?
John Gruden.
What's his name? He's been on everything here lately. I'm blanking.
John Gruden.
John Gruden. I think we should just go get John Gruden.
He won't be a good college coach. The only reason I say that is his offense is too much. Like, nobody's going to be able to pick that up.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. But that's all I got, really. What are we talking about next week, Justin? I already forgot.
Man, I would like to talk about, like, those teams. Like, if I ask you who's your top 5 teams that you would put $100 on to make the college football playoff, mine would be Ohio State, Georgia, Penn State, Notre Dame, Clemson, Texas. I gave you 6. I want to talk about those teams that, like, you're not naming off the bat. The teams that you're just like, oh, crap, yeah, if they do this, they really could go. I'm not talking about winning. I'm talking about going to the playoffs. Arizona State, they're probably going to make it again. Washington, I think they only play one tough game, and that's Ohio State. Now, we're not going to go into a whole breakdown and say, oh, well, they play this team and that team, and blah, blah, blah. Me and Mason are probably going to pick. We say 3 teams. We're probably going to end up picking about 4 or 5 teams that we like to do, kind of be those sleeper teams to make the playoffs. But we're not going to go into depth. It's just going to kind of be more surface level. Like, I think they could beat this team, and this team. That's probably what we're going to talk about next week. We have what? It's the second weekend in July. So we got third weekend, fourth weekend, first, second, third, fourth. We got right around 5 to 6 weekends before college football starts. So bear with us. We're going to have a few episodes like this. Probably, I would say like 2 weeks before season. We're going to probably go over. I don't think we're going to go over the whole conference because in the SEC and the Big Ten, you have 16 teams. We're probably going to give our top 5 teams from each conference. And then maybe give one that's like, hey, Wisconsin's supposed to be ranked 10th, but they're probably going to make a run. That's probably where we're going to be at. We're going to go over that. And then when season starts, we're probably going to start doing 2 episodes. Me and Mason have talked about it. We enjoy doing it. We like it when you guys kind of react to it or you just watch it. Probably going to do now. None of this is set in stone. I'm a big plan maker, so trying to give everybody the plan and kind of have it in the back of your mind. But we're thinking about doing like a Sunday night show, probably around 7:30, 8. 7:30. We'll go live every show at 7:30. We'll probably do a Sunday night show, which will be our reaction show, where we react over what happened Saturday night, Friday night, all the college football games. And then we'll probably do the Thursday night show just like we do now to preview the week. So then we're not competing with college football game day and all that. And you have 2-3 days to watch our show because that's what we want. We want people to add this to their collective where they wake up in the morning and on their way to work, they put us on or, on their way home. Or if you're just sitting around the house and you don't have anything to do, you put us on and listen to us. So that's what we're trying to build to. We would like for you to like and subscribe and leave us a comment if you want us to talk about anything specific. Like I said, we got about 4 or 5 weeks, and me and Mason do a pretty good job of coming up with ideas, but we're never against taking ideas too. So, like and subscribe and tell people about us and tell us anything you want us to talk about or do different. And that's all I got, Mason.
I think it's a pretty good outro, guys. Y'all have a great week. Tune in with us next week. We're going to talk about 5 teams, maybe 3 teams.
Yeah.
Who knows? Who knows what we'll do? Who knows how many teams we'll do? Yeah, we got a comment here real quick that we'll go over. It says, sorry I'm in here late. Is Ryan Day going to be on the hot seat again halfway through the season? You're going to have to rewind the episode. I say yes. Not to that, but if they lose to Michigan, he is probably cooked. But that's all we got, guys. I'm about ready to get off here. I got to take a shower, get ready for tomorrow. Justin's got to work tomorrow too, so we're going to try to get a good night's rest. Tune in with us next week. If you give us a like and a subscribe, go follow us on Instagram, follow us on TikTok, follow us on X, Twitter. Pretty soon, I don't know the exact details of this. I think I'm going to try to do some kind of a giveaway of sorts, maybe just a t-shirt whenever we get those. But just let us know, guys. Y'all have a great rest of y'all's week. We will see y'all next time.